Hello, and welcome to Business Math. I'm your instructor, Peter Kotrodimos. We're going to be looking at Chapter 10 in the next 3 short videos that I'll be making. This is video 1, and we're going to be looking at Chapter 10-1, Learning Outcome 1. So this 10-1 has 2 outcomes, and then we'll look at Learning Unit 10-2, which will be finding unknown and simple interest formula. So the first thing that we're going to do today is this first video is going to be a short one, and we're just going to look at how do we find maturity value, principal, and interest, and then how do we formulate our simple interest with our simple interest formula. So your book discusses a few things. So interest is just what you pay in order to borrow money, or it's what you earn when you loan money. The principal is the principal amount. So if I borrow $40,000, I have to pay interest on that principal. If I loan out $40,000, you have to pay me interest on that principal. And then we look at the maturity value. So what will that end principal, what will that eventually be? And the maturity value is just basically at the end of whatever time frame that we use, how much do I owe the bank, for example, or a company if I'm borrowing money from them, or a credit agency, or how much will I earn if I'm loaning my money? Say, if I purchase a bond or I loan someone else my money, what will be the maturity value of that final time period? So let's take a look at maturity value. So in your book, it talks about hope. So hope is the price for using furniture before she can pay, and she's looking at $40,000 principal. So if we look at this, we have our principal on page 266, I believe, or whatever that first page is for your chapter 10. I'm looking at a different book, So we have $40,000 is our principal. And then we know that the interest rate on that, right? We need to figure out what the interest rate is. But she ends up paying a maturity value of $40,800. And so we want to see, okay, how does this work? How do we figure out that her end maturity value is $40,800? So let's take a look. Our simple interest formula is going to be interest equals principal times rate, which is interest rate, times the amount of time. In Hope's case, right, we needed to find out the interest. So we know what the principal is, right? So we know that in Hope's case, the principal amount was $40,000. We know that the rate was 4%, right? So we want to put that into a decimal form. So we know from previous lectures and previous knowledge that that's 0.04. And we know that the loan was for 6 months. Okay? So it's not going to be for the total time. It's going to be for half of the time. So your book will give you this, which we know reduces to this, which we can put into decimal form as 0.5. Okay? So we'll just get rid of that. Okay. So if we do the math here, I don't know what happened to my calculator. Anyway, it doesn't want to work today. We know that this, if we do the math, we'll come up with $800. and our interest is $800. So we know that the maturity value equals principal plus interest, or in this case, our maturity value is $40,000 plus $800, and that gives us $40,800. Okay? And that is simple interest, right? We're not doing any kind of compounding. We're not doing any type of prorated things. We're not doing anything crazy. This is just pure, simple. Hey, I give you $40,000 at 4% for 6 months. This is what you would end up paying at the end of that term. It's going to cost you $800 to borrow that money. Is it worth it? I don't know. Depends on how bad you need the $40,000, right? Okay, that is simple interest. Look for the other video, which will be 10.1-2.